Calling to order the Abilene City Commission regular meeting for October 12th, 2020. And due to COVID-19 and social distancing, we are encouraging viewing all meetings on the live stream City of Abilene's YouTube page. Roll call.
Mayor Osterman,
Here.
Commissioner Ryan,
Here.
Commissioner Marshall,
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Here.
Commissioner Webb,
Here.
roll call complete.
Thank you. Now is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is the consent agenda.
Mayor Osterman,
Yes,
this is Aaron Martin. May I address the commission with a few preliminary matters?
sure, yes.
Thank you. This is Aaron Martin, City Attorney, and because we are encouraging viewing remotely to the extent possible today, there are a few items I wanted to speak to at the outset, none of which are new to the commission, but for the benefit of those observing virtually. The first is we have an executive session at the end of the agenda today, and just so everyone understands, when that occurs, the commission will recess into a closed meeting room. If you're watching on TV, you will see empty seats, but the meeting is not concluded, and everyone will resume the regular meeting upon the conclusion of the executive session meeting. Secondly, as you know, when we're speaking into the microphone, please identify yourself and your title. And finally, because we do have limited capacity, and I understand we may have individuals wishing to make public comment, we are required to state the process and rules for allowing public comment, if any, at the outset of the meeting. As we did at the last meeting when we had this discussion, I will turn it back to you, and you can discuss and announce those rules and procedures for allowing public comment on any or all of the items.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda.
I think we need to do that first.
Do the,
Set the parameters and all of that first. Is that,
This is Aaron Martin, City Attorney. That would be appropriate to do at the outset.
okay.
This is Commissioner Witt. It seemed like last time the procedures we used worked fairly well, which, if I remember right, we gave each person 2 minutes to comment. How does that sound to the group?
This is Commissioner Marshall. I agree. We allowed them in one by one, 2 minutes each. That seems appropriate. It worked out very well with our officers leading them in. And
This is Chris Osterman, Mayor. I was wondering if you want the comments for the ordinance on number 8 to be done at that time, or would you rather have them be done at public comments number 6?
this is Commissioner Marshall. I would prefer we do them when we address the ordinance, just right before.
This is Commissioner Witt. I'm in agreement once we get to that item on the agenda.
All right. So at this time, we will set the parameters that anyone that has any comments for the ordinance on number 8 will be given at that time. And we will go through the regular process of the meeting. Isn't everyone in agreement?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
This is Commissioner Witt. City Attorney Martin, does that sound good?
Yes, I believe those rules are all we needed to hear at the outset of the meeting, so you're free to proceed with the rest of the agenda now. Thank you.
Excellent. So, Madam Mayor, this is Commissioner Witt. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Marshall will second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Have roll call vote. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer? Commissioner Witt?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Osterman, yes. It has been approved. Next item, public comments and communications. If we have anyone here that would like to address the city commission at this time, other than number 8 on the list for the agenda, can do so when called upon the mayor.
This is Commissioner Witt. We may just want to double check just in case, maybe if anybody outside has anything to comment, that's not item 8. So
But
Thank
not,
you.
yeah. This is Jane Foltz, City Manager. We do have Chuck Scott and I believe Tina Kelly and Jeff Wilkins will be listening in to make comments or answer questions for number 9 as well, if they can get back on.
Thank you. Next item is Red Ribbon Week proclamation, Cub Scout Pack 67. The proclamation is, whereas alcohol and drug abuse in this nation have reached epidemic stages, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention education efforts by community members to be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs, no illegal use of legal drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week, October 25th to October 31st, and whereas business, government, parents, law enforcement, media, medical institutions, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And whereas the community of Abilene, Kansas further commits its resources to ensure the success of the Red Ribbon Campaign. Now, therefore, I, Chris Osterman, Mayor of Abilene, Kansas, along with the members of the Abilene City Commission and the members of Cub Scout Pack 67, do hereby proclaim October 25th to October 31st, 2020, as Red Ribbon Week in Abilene, and urge all citizens to celebrate this week in our efforts to fight the battle against illegal drugs and to keep our country and children safe. This is passed and adopted by the City Commission of Abilene, Kansas on this 12th day of October 2020. Okay, next item is the consideration of the ordinance adopting the 2020 Uniform Public Offense Code for Kansas cities. So at this time, we will have comments from the public, and it will be a 2-minute.
Commissioner Witt, I was wondering if maybe we could potentially start out with some clarifying points from either our city attorney or a city manager. Just so those that are live streaming could potentially just have that refresher ahead of any time that they give comments. That's just a suggestion for me.
Commissioner Marshall, you mean on the proposed changes to the ordinance?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right.
So this is Commissioner Witt. Yeah, just curious what you thought about that.
Can there be a brief
Yes, if you can give a,
explanation?
I'm sorry, do you mind having a chair for just a second? And then we'll have you right there. And then they're going to, City Manager Foltz, would you like to explain the changes on this ordinance?
I will defer to our city attorney, Aaron Martin.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Before I speak to this item, when we speak of changes to the ordinance, am I correct that you're simply referring to the ordinance in general and section 10.29 that we spoke of in quite a bit of detail at the last meeting? Just so I understand the changes that we're referring to. So with that, if I may just kind of take it from the top for those that weren't able to listen in at the last meeting, and I'll try to be a little more brief and concise. But what we have before you is the annual Uniform Public Offense Adoption Ordinance. This ordinance is a simple ordinance that incorporates by reference the approximately 180-page Uniform Public Offense Code that's published each year by the League of Kansas Municipalities. That comprehensive document is a criminal code that covers numerous and various criminal acts that in large part mirror state law. But upon adoption, those codes become part of the City of Abilene Municipal Code. And then those serve as the basis for municipal citations and municipal court prosecutions, and violation of the Uniform Public Offense Code, once adopted by the city, is a prosecutable violation of local law. And so every year, the Uniform Public Offense Code, as published by the League of Kansas Municipalities, evolves a little bit. And as you know, at the last meeting, we brought to your attention one new provision. It's section 10.29. And if the City Commission adopts the Uniform Public Offense Code wholesale without any changes, this would become part of the local code. Before describing section 10.9, I should mention that the Uniform Public Offense Code does not need to be adopted at all. If it is adopted, you can pick and choose which sections to include or exclude, and we have examples of provisions that we've excluded in the past, and even other exclusions in this year's ordinance. But moving to section 10.29, it reads, quote, "It shall be unlawful for any person to violate, refuse, or fail to comply with a written order of the county health officer, Board of Health, or Director of Health issued under their respective authorities." As I mentioned at the last meeting, if we adopt the Uniform Public Offense Code, that would then become part of local law. At the outset, I want to reiterate that the adoption of this provision is not a local mask order. It would simply be making it a crime to violate any written orders of the county health officer. Currently, we have no such written orders of the county health officer, but we could in the future. So if this were adopted today, it would be without any force or effect today. But Kansas law has for a long time and still does allow the county health officer to adopt written orders during situations like we're in right now that mandate quarantine or stay at home, or the county health officer also has the ability to take other actions that are in furtherance of the public health. And so it's not possible for me to tell you what types of orders those could be in the future, but I can tell you we don't have any right now. If we were to ever have a mask order under the situations that we're discussing, it would be because the county has imposed one. This body has elected not to impose one currently, so we do not have a city mask order. We have a executive order of the governor that is currently in effect in Dickinson County. It is not an order of the county health officer. So the present order in effect in Dickinson County, if violated, would not be a violation of a county health order. Now, it's possible that sometime in the future, hypothetically, the county could, either under existing law or future laws, decide to impose a county-level mask order. If that were to happen, and if we were to adopt the Uniform Public Offense Code as written, then the municipal court would be an additional forum in which that law could be enforced. I would note that if the county were to ever implement a written order that covers masks. Regardless of the city's actions on this ordinance, it would be a crime under state law to violate that county order. If we adopt the Uniform Public Offense Code, it would be an additional crime under city law. And it would basically position the city to assist with the enforcement of that county order. So I believe that summarizes the legal effect of adopting the Uniform Public Offense Code. And if you have any questions for me before you allow public comment, I would be happy to answer those.
Mr. Martin, this is Chris Osterman, Mayor. This is where I'm getting confused. On Friday, October 2nd, I met with City Manager Foltz with the agenda in front of us, and the ordinance that was to be brought up that following Monday on a study session, I was told, nothing new, it's something we do every year. As you know, on the 5th of October, I wasn't here, and all of a sudden, we get a change to this ordinance that you were describing on that last Monday about the section 10-29, and we had nothing in print in black and white. So that's where my confusion is. I was told it was just a regular ordinance. It's always being done every year. And then on Monday, all of a sudden, there you had described some changes to that ordinance. So that's why I am confused why it came up, because it never was explained to me on that Friday. So
Well,
when were you instructed to make a change to the ordinance?
first, I would note, and hopefully I answer your question appropriately, but neither I nor staff have changed the ordinance. The section 10.29 that we're discussing was drafted and included in the 180-page Uniform Public Offense Code that is put out by the League of Kansas Municipalities. So we had no role in including that in the Uniform Public Offense Code. As with many things that we work on, I'll speak for myself here, I always wish that I were faster and better at understanding what's in front of me, but the Uniform Public Offense Code is generally a pretty routine document that we adopt. And as we prepared to present it to you at study session and in discussion with the police department, we learned of the inclusion of this section. And at that point, I don't know what day that was. It could have very well been that Friday or the day before. But we studied it, and I think unanimously recognized that we needed to bring it to your attention and discuss it at the study session. So it is not, the point I would like to make is we did not include this. It just simply is included in the Uniform Public Offense Code by virtue of the league's decision, and then we have discretion to exclude it. And by all means, I would love to bring these to your attention as soon as I'm able to do so. But balancing the information that we had when we came to the study session, I know Jane and I and the police department talked in quite a bit of detail and studied other cities to get a handle on, what we were dealing with here. And then all we needed to do was just bring that to your attention and explain it to you at that study session. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Martin?
This is Commissioner Witt. Maybe another clarifying point in how in that discussion is that in our agenda packet, we've got this 2-page thing detailing a sort of a summary of the Uniform Public Offense Code. As to where the confusion may be, it's like we didn't include that full 180-page document here in the agenda. So maybe where maybe helpful, could have been more helpful, is having a link to where that source document may be to, here's where you go to read the whole thing if
And a
if we
full
so choose
printout,
to.
Commissioner Marshall, I'm sorry, full printout of 1029.
Yeah. So just, I think that may be where a clarifying point can get made, is that what's in our packet is only a 2-page summary, it would be nice to have that link to that full page, so.
Sure, and I completely understand and apologize for not providing that to you earlier. I know the city has purchased rights to the Uniform Public Offense Code, and by law, we're, once adopted, we're required to keep that on file in the city clerk's office, so we'll make sure to include that going forward.
Is there any other questions at this time? Thank you, Mr. Martin. We will now start with the comment section for the ordinance for the Uniform Public Offense Code. So would you like to come to the microphone? It's a 2-minute limit. If you can give us your name and address, please.
I'm Rhonda Beaupre. I live at 201 Northeast 8th Street in Abilene. Mr. Martin, your failure to provide a link to that ordinance, the whole thing, the whole 180 pages, is unconscionable. How are we as a city to decide if there are parts of this ordinance, especially the new parts, that we don't want to adopt? And so I went searching on the city website for a copy of it. The most recent copy I found was from 2012. Now, perhaps you have adopted more recent issues. I think it's issued every year. I went to the website where it is actually issued. It costs $100 to get a copy. And you have to apply for a license. Now, Mr. Martin, you say that the city has a license to purchase this and post it on the city website. That's what the license is for, so that it can be posted locally on your city website for all citizens to look at. And it's not, at least not the current one. And so my recommendation to the city is, first of all, get a copy on the city website where everybody in the city can see what laws they are supposed to be upholding. And when there is a new one issued, perhaps every year, assumingly every year, the changes to the new one should be outlined for all the city residents to look at and to give our input into whether we would like our city public servants to adopt the whole thing or to exclude parts of it. Now, my opinion is we should exclude Section 1029.
And we've reached 2 minutes.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Could you give us your name and address, please?
Nathan Hilton, 109 Northeast 10th. Thank you for striving to lead through this time. My family loves living in this town, and I'm going to briefly share 2 reasons why I believe it would be best for our town that you vote no today. The first and biggest is that elected officials should legislate. We have elections to have a voice in who will be representing us, making decisions for us. As citizens of Abilene, we're able to find out in advance what commissioners we'll be voting on, have the opportunity to voice our concerns to the elected commissioners. This measure, if passed, would eradicate that process on the issue that is largely the most important issue for residents of Abilene. You'd be outsourcing the decision-making process. Residents of Abilene do not want one unelected person to have the most authority of anyone in our town. We didn't elect the county health officer, we elected you. I plead with you to not do so and instead continue to have the town's decision-making process be approval by the city commissioners with residents having a voice in that decision-making process. Second, the citizens of Abilene largely do not have confidence in Dr. Holmes as the county health officer. There are by all means some that have utmost confidence in him. I do not intend for this to be an attack on his character or his abilities as a doctor. I know nothing about those. I simply state this as being the case with how largely the town feels towards him as the county health officer. You'd be giving a great increase in authority to someone who most in the town want to have less authority. No one is wondering if additional restrictions would come. We all know that they would be. Largely, the confidence is not there. In fact, many are terrified at the thought of this much legislative power being given. So please vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor Osterman, this is Commissioner Marshall. It might be helpful to remind them they have 2 minutes when they come in, just in case they didn't hear.
Last time, apparently they were told that outside, that was 2 minutes.
I hope so. Thank you.
That was 2 minutes.
He is the timekeeper.
Yeah, I knew Marcus was timing.
Hello, can you give us your name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Lori Megan Armstrong. I live at 1173 Old 40 in Abilene. May I start?
Yes, it's a 2-minute. Were you told 2 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm convinced the City Council has Abilene's best interest at heart. As proven by the meeting several weeks ago, where the passing of a citywide mask ordinance that would include fining our citizens didn't even get a second motion to be considered. Today, I hope to continue with our city's best interest in mind when you adopt the 2020 Uniform Public Offense Code and exclude Section 1029, violation of a public health order. Written orders for our city should always originate from the City Commission as a body of elected leaders who are obliged to listen and to represent the very people that elected them. Giving that same power to create and enforce a written order to a single, unelected individual would both be unwise and illogical. It would be refreshing to know whether our own county health officer finds this to be an overreach of their position. The county health officer's role is clearly outlined by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment and overseen by our county commissioners. Perhaps it's now time for the citizens of both Abilene and Dickinson County to approach the county commissioners and make a few changes. It is a credit to yourselves, Mayor and City Commissioners, the City Manager Jane Foltz, and City Attorney Aaron Martin for examining this seemingly minor, although quite significant change with such thoroughness. I appreciate your forethought and consideration of this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, can you give us your name and address, please?
I'm Brian Harris, and I live at 606 Maple Street. Been in Abilene all my life, except for when I went to school. Had to go there. Want to bring up, I've been up here before in the last conversation we had. I've had over 25 years of dealing with immunology, dealing with vaccine viral shedding activities. So I'm coming with you with a little background of authority, of knowledge behind all this. The bottom line is if anybody's telling you this is going to stop a disease, again, I'll say it again, they're lying. They're not telling the truth. Will this slow the disease? It can slow it, yes. If you have an immune comparable system, then do everything you can to stop the shed. The immune system, our immune system, is the only way we're going to stop this disease. The only way we're going to stop this disease is by having antibodies to this disease. The only way you're going to get antibodies to this disease, one, you can vaccination. We don't have that, but be exposure. Unfortunately, that's it. The bottom line is that if you're trying to put a force as someone who doesn't really have the total authority to put his authority into being the judge, jury, and convictor of one person for something that is not factual truth, that's not going to stop and make every citizen a criminal in our county, in our city, that is wrong, very wrong, and be very disappointed in that. Bottom line is that, well, I want to ask you to vote no on this Section 1029. It's not legal. Our governor's playing politics with our health. Our health is what we should be important, and you should be doing everything you can to build up your immunity, and that's what the physician should be talking to you about. Strengthen your immunity, strengthen your defenses against whatever disease it is, because this actually, if you want to get down to it, I could argue, could create more harm than good, because you're only concentrating on one disease. And before our immune system has to have exposure from one another in order to stimulate the immunity, to stimulate the antibodies for protection. So again, I'll bring up is vote no. Do not give authority to a situation where he does not need the authority in, and do not pass this, and be loyal, responsible citizens in our community. Thank you for all that you do and all the work you do for a town to make it a greater city. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, can you give us your name and address, please?
William Bishop, 1608 North Oak Street, Abilene, Kansas. It appears as though there may be some here today that find themselves at odds with my right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If you wish to give an unelected official power to infringe on the rights of American citizens, you are an enemy of the United States of America. I do not say this flippantly nor in jest, only to warn you that it is foolish to become an enemy of we, the people. Unlike many whom I grieve for, I do not worship the God of social justice. It is not my purpose to enforce equity by any means. Rather, I will stand in defense of freedom in this nation under God in hopes that all may accept Christ and no longer fear death, which he has defeated. When this pandemic began, I was prepared to contract a deadly illness and die from a deadly illness. But it has been 8 long months, and much has been revealed. CDC data disclosed on September 10, 2020, regarding those infected with COVID-19 showed a survival rate of 99% for individuals under the age of 69 and a 94.6% survival rate for those older than 69. So at the ripe old age of 24, I know this virus will not take my life. But I am still prepared to die in the defense of freedom. I encourage you all, state your positions, discuss what would be best for everyone. In the end, if you choose to give an unelected official power to infringe on the rights of American citizens, you are an enemy of the United States of America. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello, can you give us your name and address, please?
Jessica Mascarino, 705 North CUNY here in Abilene. And, okay, so I own 3 businesses here in town, and this year has been very difficult financially, physically, mentally. We've had to overcome and adapt. Then to top it all off, have to fight for our rights, freedoms we took for granted. I never once thought I'd have to worry that my rights would be infringed upon in this sort of manner, especially in this town. Always loved this town. I've built a life here. I really urge you all to vote no. If our health officer which I might add many, I hear a lot of input from all my businesses, and, many do not respect or trust his hypocrisy during this pandemic. Many believe that he's been do as I say, not as I do. If he is given this kind of power, it will cause an overstepping of power of which we've never seen the likes before. Not even just on the mask mandate, what if he says vaccines are mandatory? Or that we get chips implanted to see who's got this vaccine? Will it give him the authority to just shut businesses down? Our business won't even survive it. It could cause a crippling effect to our county's economy by giving this one person so much power in the county. Do you all think that we lack common sense to make sensible decisions dealing with our own health and our family? We all have different beliefs and have the common sense to make decisions for ourselves. It should not be a crime because we choose to regard our health in our own manner, instead of solely based on fear of it being a criminal act not to abide by. Personally, it's very scary to me as a business owner that he himself can put a mask mandate in place and literally obliterate our alley business and all in one mandate. During our bowling league meetings this year, it was expressed that if masks have to be worn, nobody will bowl.
You've reached 2 minutes.
Please make the right decision and vote no to this change. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, can you give us your name and address, please?
Sorry, my name is Mary Folliard, and I'm at 2210 2500 Avenue in Chapman. You ready?
Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead.
If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Everyone needs to turn away from the evil in this world, turn back to Christ. This is an overreach of power. I don't even know the doctor who is in charge of the health department. I don't know you. But I do know that giving one person that much power over everyone is absolutely wrong. There are lawsuits in every state, even in Kansas, lawsuits against contact tracing, lawsuits against masks that are ineffective at best. We all know this. We all know the CDC numbers that are actually 10,000 versus 200,000. I ask that you look in your hearts. You return to God. You return to the truth. Don't let evil rule your life. You love one another as Christ loved us. Thank you. Oh, please leave that portion out, the 1029, because that's what it's all about. Our freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the last public comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move we approve an ordinance adopting the 2020 Uniform Public Offense Code with the explicit omission of Section 6.16 regarding giving of a worthless check, Section 6.19 regarding equity skimming, and Section 10.29, a violation of a public health order.
This is Commissioner Marshall, and I will second Mr. Ryan's motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance with changes eliminating, can you repeat that again, 10.29?
6.16, 6.19, and 10.29.
That would eliminate section 6.16, section 6.19, and section 10.29. Do I have any discussion at this time?
Commissioner Schaefer, Aaron, could you explain those first two?
Sure. This is Aaron Martin, City Attorney. So the present motion before you excludes 3 specific sections from the Uniform Public Defense Code. 10.29, we've talked about that. The other 2, 6.16 and 6.19, just as for some historical context, we did look at these, and it looks like the city started exempting these particular sections 4 or 5 years ago. And we discussed with the municipal court judge and city prosecutor, and it's still their preference that the city do that if it's your wish. But the first section relates to giving of a worthless check. This is a crime under state law, and the adoption here of that section would again make it a local crime as well. The act of giving a worthless check means to write a check on which you know or should know you do not have adequate funds in your bank account. That will still be a crime under state law and could be prosecuted in district court by the county attorney. But by excluding it here, it would not be something that could be prosecuted in municipal court. I would also note there is civil remedies that can be pursued by the injured party in that context as well. And I think that played into the prosecutors and judges' preference on that particular subject. The second one relates to a relatively uncommon crime called equity skimming. And this is generally the act of, well, let me back up. When a bank forecloses on a mortgage, the homeowner is entitled to certain statutory protections. They get to stay in the house both during the pendency of the foreclosure and afterwards during what's called a redemption period. And that is intended to protect the borrower and any equity that he or she may have in the property, with the objective of potentially allowing them to redeem the property during the sheriff's sale process and after by buying it back. Equity skimming is the act of predatory and real estate investors coming in, buying up property that is subject to a foreclosure and renting it out and essentially profiting off of those laws that are designed to protect the homeowner. So buying it on the cheap while it's on in the foreclosure process, and then utilizing it to make a profit during that time period that's really intended to protect the homeowner. That is, again, I believe a crime under state law, and there would likely be adequate civil remedies there. So that's another one that I believe the historical preference has been to allow that to be worked out in other contexts rather than municipal court. Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions at this time?
Would it be possible to vote on these separately? I know there's already a motion and a second. I just raised the issue. Commissioner Schaefer.
This is Commissioner Marshall. Mr. Martin, you said we normally exclude those two anyway, correct?
Historically, the city has excluded section 6.16 and 6.19 from this adoption ordinance.
Thank you. That being said, I would recommend you just do them all together, since that's normal procedure to exclude those two anyway.
Any other comments? Well, I think, in my opinion, I think we should just go ahead and do it as the motion is, and continue with that. And if you don't agree with it, then you can vote the way you would like. And before the vote, this has been a very toxic situation for a lot of people. And I just, my comment is that we need to respect ourselves, everyone, and also we need the information out there so that we can get a correct vote for the city of Abilene patrons. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we need to respect each other. So with that, we'll go to roll call vote. Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Osterman, yes. Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
it has been so approved. Next item, authorize the staff to sign an agreement for New Horizon Hemp real estate offer. City Manager Foltz.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Jane Foltz, City Manager. This is an agreement to go ahead and have staff sign to proceed with the next steps for this real estate offer with New Horizon Hemp Processing LLC. I've had a conversation with Attorney Aaron Martin. There are a number of things that have to happen before you get a real real estate offer. This just lets us proceed. We will have an appraisal of the property. We will have to check the property boundaries, those kind of things. So this will just give us authority to move forward with a complete real estate offer and a possible development agreement. I think Chuck Scott is on the phone now. If Chuck, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I'm sorry, did you guys hear me?
No.
We did not.
Okay, if you can hear me now, yeah,
Yes.
Jane, I did not have anything else. You're exactly right. It's just an offer. We still have a number of items to get completed before you have a real estate contract with the appropriate documentation for you to actually take action on.
When do you expect, this is Chris Osterman, Mayor, when do you expect to have those items completed?
Aaron and I visited about this. It will be probably a few weeks. Aaron, do you have anything to add? This is Jane Foltz, City Manager.
Thank you. This is Aaron Martin, City Attorney. I really don't. I think I would just echo that this is a preliminary, somewhat informal commitment that the city is making, but it would evidence the city's intent to move forward, and it would then enable staff to prepare a real estate contract that contains all of the terms and conditions that you would expect to see associated with a larger real estate contract like this. And we should be able to have that within the next month, subject to discussions with the developer advancing during that time period. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Chris Osterman, Mayor. Do we need to make a motion on this? Okay,
Yes, I would recommend that you make a motion. This is Aaron Martin.
all right, thank you.
Mayor Osterman, this is Commissioner Marshall. I move to authorize staff to sign an agreement for the New Horizon Hemp real estate offer.
This is Commissioner Witt. I second the motion.
It's been moved and second to authorize staff to sign an agreement for New Horizon Hemp Real Estate offer. Do I have any further discussion? With that said, we will go to roll call vote. Commissioner Marshall?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Osterman? Yes. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
It's been so approved. Next item, consider Resolution 101220-1 in regards to 1015 North Mulberry, and I think that's for Travis.
This is Travis, Chairman, City Inspector. Staff has prepared a resolution for to find that structures at 1015 North Mulberry deemed dangerous, and I've prepared a staff report, and then I have some information here. If any commissioners have any questions on that property.
What kind of communication have you had with the owners?
Last year, when the inspection took place, all the letters and phone calls necessary, did an inspection of the property on June 27th, I believe, of 2019. He was present at the property at the time of inspection, and at that I talked about the tax history of the property with him and Jacqueline at the time, and I said if I wanted to let him know that if the taxes were paid on this property and it wouldn't go to tax sale, that the city would be looking to have this property deemed a dangerous structure.
And there has been no further communication from them?
I sent a letter, a certified letter to him before this resolution took place to get any kind of comment out of him and tell him that I was proceeding with the dangerous structures, and I have heard nothing.
Thank you. Is there any further questions?
Madam Mayor, this is Commissioner Witt. I move that we approve the resolution 101220-1, a resolution fixing a time and place to appear to show cause why the structure at 1015 North Mulberry Street should not be condemned and ordered repaired or demolished.
Mayor Osterman, this is Commissioner Marshall. I will second his motion, having driven by this property and seen the condition. We need to proceed.
It's been moved and second to approve Resolution 101220-1 to show cause why the structures at 1015 North Mulberry Street should not be condemned and ordered repaired or demolished. Is there any further comments or questions? We will go to roll call vote. Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Witt?
Yes.
Commissioner Osterman? Yes. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall?
Yes.
It has been so approved. Next item, executive session.
Madam Mayor, how much time do you request for this executive session? I'm sorry, Commissioner Marshall asking.
Yes, I would do 30 minutes because then we would also ask for another party to be included. So right now, it'd just be the city commissioners and the attorney, Mr. Martin.
All right. This is Commissioner Marshall. I move that the commission recess into executive session for a period of 30 minutes and evaluate the city manager's performance based upon the need to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting will resume in this room at 5:30?
5:34.
5:34, okay.
I've got 5 o'clock right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
I was going by the computer,
Oh.
4:59.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So what time? 5:34 then, or 5:30?
5:30.
All right.
Okay, all right.
Madam Mayor, this is Commissioner Witt. I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to go to an executive session for 30 minutes to review and evaluate the city manager's performance based upon the need to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319, B as in boy, 1. The open meeting will resume in this room at 5:30. We will go to any questions, or with that said, we will go to roll call vote. Commissioner Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Osterman? Yes. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
And moved. have it. I don't have the thing on here to send.
Oh, he shut us down.
Did you shut us?
You're good.
Is it time? Returning from the executive session, no action was taken.
And this is Commissioner Witt, just to give us a little bit more time. I'm going to move that the City Commission recess into executive session for 5 more minutes to review and evaluate the city manager's performance based upon the need to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting will resume in this room at 5:36.
It's Commissioner Ryan, I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session and return to resume in this room at 5:36. Roll call vote. Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Osterman, yes. Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
We're returning to the regular meeting from the executive session, and no action was taken at this time. Next item, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Jane Foltz, City Manager. Just an update, all the concrete has been poured on 8th Street. Work continues to backfill and cleanup is expected soon. They are doing core samples, and once those core samples have been determined that that street is drivable, we will have some kind of a ceremony to open it, hopefully later this month. The Corps of Engineers are conducting their periodic levee inspection with staff today and tomorrow along Mud Creek. So if you see people with clipboards and vehicles, that's what's going on. Just a reminder to commissioners who are attending the league conference that's virtual this year, you should have received an email on how to sign in early to make sure that you receive the information needed. And if not, there is a girl that you can call to get that straightened out. So the conference is scheduled for the 13th, 14th, and 15th this week. And then coming in the next few weeks, we do have the electronic message center text amendment that went to the Planning Commission a few weeks ago, the critical drainage ordinance, and we will have the northeast drainage bids once those are cleared up with the engineer. And then possibly another real estate contract is in the works. So also the third quarter report I left on your desk today for your review. It will be published before the end of the month. That's all I have.
Commissioner Marshall, question. The lady's name for the email contact to attend the...
I think it's Kate Cooley. So she, yeah.
Is that on their homepage?
Yeah, it's on your email.
Kate
Mhm.
Cooley? Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I got the email. That's why I'm asking.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
looked today. I couldn't find it. But that could have been because I was going through so many other hundreds.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think you may have gotten one today if things weren't working out for you, because they
Okay.
were trying to make sure everybody was logged in early.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Consider a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Commissioner Marshall, I'm freezing to death. I want to go home. I move we adjourn.
Commissioner Ryan, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the October 12th, 2020 City Commission meeting. Roll call votes. Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Osterman, yes. Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
So moved.